We logged in early, the four of us, headset snug, VR calibration humming in our ears. As soon as the arena loaded and the dirt and stone pit stretched out before us, Titan's armored avatar materialized at my side, sword already gleaming on his back. He was grinning like a madman. "All right," he announced, voice carrying across the cracked floor. "No mercy. Last one standing buys lunch." Ace, daggers twirling in her hands, rolled her shoulders and smirked. "Better start counting your coins, big guy." Crash stomped in behind her, Warhammer slung over his shoulder like it weighed nothing. His heavy frame was comical in VR, oversized muscles, a jaw made for chewing rocks. He cracked his knuckles and gave a toothy grin. "Lunch? I'm here to break bones." I adjusted the spear in my hands. The VR's haptic rig hummed faintly, the kind of detail that made every movement feel heavy and real. I smirked and said nothing. Talking wouldn't matter once the gates opened. And then they did. The iron gates rattled and a chorus of shrieks filled the air. Raptors poured into the pit, claws scraping stone, eyes glowing with hunger. Titan charged first, greatsword in both hands, shield raised. He cut the first raptor clean in half and bashed the second into the wall with the flat of his blade. Ace blinked out of sight, reappearing behind a beast to drive her dagger into its neck. She vanished again before its body hit the ground. Crash met three at once, Warhammer swinging in wide arcs that cracked bones and shattered stone beneath his blows. One came at me from the side, claws extended. I waited patient until it leapt. My spear was already in my hand. I caught it midair, blade slicing deep, then followed with a kick that slammed it to the dirt. The last raptor screeched, then fell to Titan's blade. The first wave was over, but the stamina gauges on our HUDs told the truth. This was only the beginning. The floor split apart beneath us. From the fissures crawled crocodilian brutes, scales thick as plate armor, eyes burning red. Titan braced his shield, catching a tail swipe that sent sparks skittering across stone. He grunted and slid back several feet. Ace scrambled up the back of another brute, driving her dagger between scales, but the beast bucked hard, sending her flying. She hit the dirt, swearing, and I rushed in to pull her up before another could clamp its jaws around her. Crash was already laughing like a lunatic, hammer rising high. He brought it down on one skull with a sickening crunch, but even crushed, the thing still writhed. Its tail whipped across his chest, knocking him sideways. I ducked under one beast's jaws and slashed at the legs, targeting the soft joints. The cut was deep enough. The brute roared and stumbled, giving Titan the opening to drive his sword straight through its throat. "They're testing teamwork," Titan said between breaths. "Don't go lone wolf." They shot him a grin. "Tell that to Hammer Boy." "What?" Crash bellowed, wiping blood from his face. "I'm thriving." The arena shook like thunder. Dust fell from above as the gates boomed open once more. A herd of mammoth-like creatures surged into the pit, tusks curved like ivory scythes. We scattered immediately. Titan barked orders but was drowned out by the pounding of hoofs. Ace darted low between legs, carving tendons, slipping just out of reach of crushing stomps. Crash slammed his hammer into the ground, sending shockwaves that slowed the front line, but three more broke through, charging straight at me. I had no choice. I leapt, caught the thick fur of one's back, and hauled myself up as it thundered past. It bellowed, shaking, but I jammed my spear down into its spine. The beast crashed to the ground, nearly crushing me as it fell limp. "Show off," Ace yelled, laughing even as she skewered another tendon. "Worked, didn't it?" I shouted back. Then the shadows came. A roar split the air, deeper, louder than anything before. The torches dimmed as the final wave arrived. A towering dinosaur, part tyrannosaur, part dragon, wings stretching wide, obsidian scales glowing with faint red cracks. Titan froze. "Okay, yeah, I didn't add this." "Who added wings?" "Don't care," Crash shouted. "That's mine." The beast charged. Titan planted his shield like a wall. Ace blinked into existence above the monster's eye, stabbing down hard before vanishing again. I sprinted low and fast, slashing at ankles. The monster roared, shockwaves bursting across the arena floor. Stone cracked. Fire sprayed. Titan braced against every impact, keeping its attention on him. Ace danced between scales, carving precise lines of damage. Crash hammered any limb that staggered. And me, I timed every strike for when it overcommit, spear sinking into exposed flesh. Finally, when it reared back to scream, I shoved a fire bomb into its open jaws. Titan slammed its mouth shut with his shield. The thrashing shook the entire pit. The monster crashed to the dirt in a cloud of dust and fire, dead at last. We stood there, panting, avatars painted in gore and smoke. Ace wiped sweat from her brow and grinned. Okay, a best. Saturday. Ever. Titan scowled, half serious, half not. You're still buying lunch. You went down and waved too. Crash pointed his hammer at the massive corpse. And I killed the most. Count him. Count him. I pointed my spear and shook my head, chuckling. Somebody tell me where the nearest steakhouse is. I need protein. The four of us slid into a booth at the steakhouse, the scent of seared meat and butter-heavy rolls filling the air. Titan and Crash both ordered ribeyes. Ace went for a burger stack higher than her head, and I stuck with something small. A 6-ounce sirloin, done extra well. Titan eyed my plate when it arrived. That's it. You just survived a Dragondino thing, and you're eating like a bird? I shrugged, cutting a neat piece. Not really that hungry. Yeah, right, Ace said through a smirk, already halfway into her fries. You're glowing. Must be Dev. I gave her a look over the rim of my water glass. Glowing, glowing, Titan repeated, stabbing at his baked potato. We've all noticed it. Don't try to play dumb. Crash chuckled, leaning back with that easy confidence that came from years of being settled. 2 weeks in, and they're already reading you like a book. Ace grinned, leaning in. So, what's it like dating one of the devs? Did she program your moves in-game, or are those actually yours? I smirked but kept quiet, letting the silence stretch. Titan groaned. Come on, man, we're not asking for your whole life story. Just a little detail. Something non-invasive. Crash raised a hand like a referee. Let him off the hook. If there's anything worth sharing, he'll share it. He took a sip of his soda, then added more softly. Honestly, the best advice I can give, don't think of it as 2 weeks. Don't measure it. Milana and I, when we were starting out, I kept trying to compare weeks, milestones, where we should be. All that does is build pressure. Let it breathe. That caught Ace's attention. She rested her chin in her hand. So what's the secret, Crash? You and Milana are disgustingly happy every time we see you. Crash's grin softened. We make time, even when we're tired. We talk when it's hard. And we laugh whenever we can. Don't underestimate laughter. It keeps everything alive. The table went quiet for a beat, his words landing heavier than expected. I smiled to myself, grateful. Not just for the advice, but for the fact that the focus had shifted to his relationship instead of mine. Titan broke the quiet by stabbing his steak with unnecessary force. All right, but if you two start kissing across the table, I'm walking out. Ace laughed so hard she nearly choked on her fries. I shook my head, relieved. Crash's advice stayed with me, though, long after the conversation veered back into safer waters, like Titan's inability to handle spice and Ace's absolute dominance in last week's PvP match. We lingered long after the plates were cleared, the booth cluttered with empty glasses and crumbs from Ace's bottomless fries. The conversation drifted back to safer ground, our VR runs. I still can't believe you made that jump, Titan said, jabbing a thumb at me. Thought for sure you were about to faceplant into the magma? Ace leaned back, smug. And yet, I'm still top damage output. Again. Crash chuckled, polishing off the last sip of his soda. You two keep worrying about damage numbers. I'll keep worrying about staying alive. Somebody's got to revive you. I smirked, shaking my head. Always the medic. Always, Crash said without apology. The laughter mellowed, and Titan drummed his fingers on the table. So, next weekend. Drill. Y'all ready? The mood shifted. Ace groaned and tipped her head back. Mentally? No. Gear-wise? I think I'm squared away. But don't even get me started on the convoy schedule. Crash let out a low whistle. I'm already dreading it. Milana's not happy I'll be gone again, but you know how it is. Yeah, I admitted trying to keep my tone casual. Dev doesn't even know yet. That got me 3 raised eyebrows. Titan leaned across the table. You didn't tell her? I shrugged, guilty. Not yet. Ace gave me a look sharp enough to cut steel. Boy, you better tell her before Friday, or she'll assume the worst. You can't just ghost her for drill weekend. Titan cracked a grin. Maybe she'll just think you're stuck in VR grinding again. Not funny, I muttered, but even Crash was chuckling. When the bill was finally paid and we shuffled out into the late afternoon sun, Ace slung her bag over her shoulder. Hey, next time, drag Dev along. Another VR session. I want to see if she can keep up when it's not just beginner's luck. And maybe Mass too, Crash added, adjusting his watch. She fit right in with us the other day. Wouldn't hurt to share the rhythm of your life a little. I gave them a careful smile, already knowing my face wasn't hiding much. I'll check with her, I said, fishing my keys from my pocket. I'll let you know. They nodded, satisfied, and the group split off toward their cars, Ace still teasing Titan about his jump scare scream during the gauntlet. As I slid into my own seat, I knew they were right. I couldn't keep putting off telling Dev. Dev's apartment smelled like butter and cinnamon when I walked in, popcorn already popping, a candle lit on the coffee table. She'd traded her usual work cardigan for a soft hoodie and leggings, hair pulled into a loose bun. The sight of her like that, relaxed, real, made me smile before I even said a word. Hope you're hungry, she said, nudging a bowl of popcorn toward me as I kicked off my shoes. Because I might have gone overboard. I sank into the couch beside her. You? Overboard? I don't believe it. She gave me a playful glare before unpausing the movie. The glow of the screen washed over us, the opening credits rolling, and for a while we just let ourselves fall into the easy rhythm of it, passing popcorn back and forth, whispering the occasional joke, shoulders brushing every so often. Halfway through, during a lull in the action, she muted the sound. Her eyes stayed on the screen, but her voice softened. What do you have planned for next weekend? Doing anything special? Special? No, not really. But I do have a full weekend, which means I may not get to see you, I shrugged. So, Sergeant. My head tilted. You knew. She gave me a sideways glance, half smile, tugging at her lips. Your resume. HR forwarded it when you were being cleared. I just didn't want to bring it up until you did. I sighed, scratching the back of my neck. I was going to tell you before drill weekend. Guess you beat me to it. Her expression softened, her caramel complexion catching the glow of the TV. So, Sergeant, what's the story? Are Titan, Ace, and Crash in with you? Yeah, I admit it. We're all guard. Different jobs, same headaches. We've got drill next weekend. She leaned back against the couch, thoughtful. I figured. Makes sense why you all clicked so quickly. You move like a unit in VR, too. That made me chuckle. I'm not sure how much of that's training, and how much is just Crash yelling at us not to get him killed. Dev laughed, covering her mouth with her hand, then let her arm drop casually onto the back of the couch, close enough that I could feel the warmth of her skin. Well, she said, eyes gleaming. At least now I know why you can take on virtual samurai without blinking. I smirked. Drill doesn't come with flaming bamboo fortresses, but close enough. She shook her head, smiling as she unmuted the movie. But I noticed the way her hand brushed mine when she reached for the popcorn again. Small, deliberate. And just like that, the conversation slipped back into laughter and movie banter. Though something deeper lingered in the air, she knew who I was fully, and she hadn't flinched. The credits rolled, and Dev stretched with a soft groan. Okay, that was better than I expected, she said, flicking the TV off. But now I'm starving again. You and popcorn, I teased. That was practically a whole meal. Excuse you. She shot back with mock indignation, standing and tugging me toward the kitchen. Popcorn is not dinner. You're helping me. The kitchen smelled faintly of garlic and tomatoes as we started throwing together pasta and a quick sauce. She chopped vegetables while I handled the stove, both of us moving around each other in a small space with a rhythm that felt oddly natural, like we've been doing this longer than 2 weeks. So I said, stirring the pot, Titan, Ace, and Crash want to pull you into another VR run this weekend. And they mentioned maybe coming to Mass with us. She glanced at me, raising a brow. With us, huh? I nodded. If you're up for it. But fair warning, that's basically you spending the whole day with me. Morning Mass, then VR, probably lunch after. Her caramel cheeks warmed as she smirked. You say that like it's a problem. I grinned, leaning against the counter. Just making sure you know what you're signing up for. She set down her knife, looked me dead in the eye, and said softly, "I know." For a moment, the kitchen went quiet except for the bubbling pot on the stove. There was something in her tone, an acceptance, a decision, that made my chest feel tight in the best way. I broke the silence with a crooked smile. "Guess I can't scare you off that easy, huh?" "Not a chance," she said, handing me the bowl of chopped peppers. "Now quit stalling and add these before you burn the sauce." We laughed, the tension easing, but I caught the small, almost shy smile she wore as she went back to chopping. And I couldn't help but think this was exactly the kind of future I'd pictured that night at the steakhouse. Dinner was simple: pasta with a light sauce, garlic bread, and a salad on the side. But the air in the kitchen felt heavier, like the movie had only been the prelude. We sat across from each other at our small table, steam rising from our plates, and for a few minutes, it was just clinking forks and the comfortable quiet of two people who didn't need to fill every silence. Then Dev leaned back, twirling her fork, her caramel complexion catching the warm light. "Can I ask you something serious?" "Always. You talk about mass a lot, and I know faith's important to you. But what does it actually mean? Like, day to day for you?" I thought for a moment, setting down my fork. "For me, it's not just Sunday morning. It's direction, structure. Reminding myself I'm not the center of the world, that there's something bigger I'm meant to live for. I screw it up plenty, but I keep trying." Her eyes softened, and she nodded. "I like that. I've always admired people who stay steady in their faith." She hesitated, then added, "I want to learn more, honestly, especially if I'm going to be in your life." The words landed heavier than she probably intended, but in the best way. My chest tightened with something between gratitude and awe. "You already are," I said quietly. She ducked her head, cheeks turning pink even against her caramel skin. "Okay, my turn for a heavy question," I said, breaking the tension. "What about family? What does that look like for you?" Her smile was wistful. "Big family. Loud. Always someone in the kitchen. But I don't know, I guess I thought I'd never get that for myself. I've always been the career woman. People see me as the brain, the workhorse, not someone who gets the fairy tale ending."